use their own pen for you.
It's now 5:30. We can go ahead and get started. Thank you, everyone. It's been a while since we've been here together, so welcome and thank you, everyone, for being here. This is our special meeting of the Budget Committee. The first item on the agenda is public comments. Is there any public comments? No, seeing none. The sign-in sheet is going around. I can see from the attendance here, we've got a quorum, so we'll use the sign-in sheet for roll call. First item is Bert's presentation. Bert's not here yet.
Correct, he's not here yet. Just so everyone knows, though, we are on Boxcast still in case there are community members who, are scared to come out or, do not want to, with COVID and everything. So we are not Zooming, of course, computers closed, but we are on Boxcast. So just want to let everybody know to use their microphones so that can be heard if there's comments and so forth. Department heads can use the microphone in the middle if anything is asked of you. I think that'll mostly work, and obviously we're all properly social distance and such. So,
are there any public comments from the people on the participating remotely?
We did not receive any, but now that it is open to the public, I don't think we're doing that anymore. But we would have read any had they been received.
People have to be here to comment publicly, correct?
Yeah, it was noticed that it was open to the public.
Yes. Okay.
Doors open.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. The first item on our agenda is a presentation by City Attorney Bert Olson regarding bond ordinances and a few other things. Bert, you are ready. We're ready for you as soon as you're ready.
It might be that one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I sent an memorandum to you this afternoon, and I think you've distributed it to the members of the committee. I'll be brief. The first part of the memo talks about how far we've gotten on the bond issue. We've got some very, very good news that right now the refunding of the 4 issues will save the city in excess of $800,000, probably closer to $850,000. That could change a little bit by the time we go to market, but we're getting very, very close. So that's very exciting news, and that is because of the interest rates. And the interest rates are shockingly low, which is very, very good for us right now. For the new money, we have a list of capital projects and general capital operating items from police and fire and other city needs from the departments, and a list from the engineer as to what our capital projects look like. We're putting those together as we speak so that we're able to put into the bond ordinance a number of the eligible projects, along with a contingency of monies to be used for capital projects that may come up and meet the parameters of the bond ordinance. The second part of the, and as far as timing, and I'm sure Elizabeth will talk a little bit about this too, is we've been on the phone with the bond team. We've got a tentative schedule. We're looking now to come to you with the bond ordinance itself at the July 20th meeting, after again coming to the next budget meeting with really firm numbers, with really firm projects. The bonding team feels that by passing the bond ordinance at that July 20th meeting, they'll then be able to go to market at the end of July, and we will again capitalize on some of these very low rates for the city. The second part of my memo is also very exciting. The mayor and Elizabeth and myself and James have met with Mesro Alliant, who brought us a firm bid from Liberty Mutual Insurance. These folks from Mesro Alliant were the ones who were hired by the Kankakee County Board in 2016, saved Kankakee County $600,000 in the first year by changing carriers. They have renewed 4 times since then. I'm sorry, 5 times, 2016 and again in 2020, and they have saved approximately the same amount each year. So based on what the cost of insurance was in 2015-16 for Kankakee County, they have saved Kankakee County close to $3 million in premiums. They have been able, through Liberty Mutual, to save the city over $100,000 in this first year in premium, taking us from GIE, an insurance carrier that received the downgrade in their ratings from AM Best Rating Agency and slipped to a B+ rating, to a worldwide company, Liberty Mutual, which is an A+15 rated company. They've increased our liability coverage from $5 million to $11 million. They've allowed, the Liberty Mutual will allow local counsel, including our firm, to represent the city in lawsuits. So what happens is when we're sued, the complaint goes to the insurance carrier, and the insurance carrier has a pool of lawyers that they send cases to. Ours gets sent to lawyers in Chicago and far northwest. This would allow, we're on panel with Liberty Mutual. We handle cases for many municipalities through Liberty Mutual and through other insurance carriers. It would allow us to represent the city. It has paid dividends to our cities and to other cities who have their local counsel who do litigation handle cases because they're familiar with the city, with the elected officials, with the department heads, what the needs of their city are, what actually happened in the case, what didn't happen in the case. So that is a very important aspect for the city to have. We also will have, as of July 1st, cyber insurance. This is something that has plagued big cities who have been under attack by people who have hijacked their computers and held them for ransom. And I'm talking some big cities, Atlanta, Baltimore, it's cost them millions. So for a very small number, which they built into the savings, we are now going to have over $1 million in cyber insurance. They will do visits and meetings with our staff to train and educate them in general liability and how to better protect the city. They have guaranteed in their policy we will have the $11 million in coverage if there's an occurrence in, let's say, in occurrence year 2020, and we don't find out about it until 2023 or 2024. This is very important and something we shouldn't take for granted, because in analyzing our current policy with GIE, we have found that they have, even though we've had $5 million in coverage, they have downgraded that to $1 million in coverage for past years. That's something I didn't think could be done, quite frankly, and you don't see it, but they've done that. So if we get sued for an incident 3 years ago or 2 years ago and GIE had us insured for $5 million, they only have to insure us for $1 million. And that's very upsetting, to tell you the truth. So where we are at now is switching to Liberty Mutual, saving $100,000, in excess of $100,000 at least this first year, which the comptroller will be able to, in the future, build into her budget as a savings. And again, we've kind of mirrored what Kankakee County did in 2016. Mayor, I'm open for any questions from the council.
Bert, I have a couple questions. You mentioned the new money we talked about is $7.5 million in capital. What would be the amount that we're refinancing?
Elizabeth, can you help me with that? It's 4 different issues, some water bonds and some...
It's sizable, Chairman, and I actually did not grab that folder, but it's 4 different issues. There is the 2008s, the 2009s will be along with the new money, as those are the tax-exempt bonds. Those are 2020As. 2020Bs will be the 2011 bonds, and those are taxable. Then we have the 2009s and 2010s are the C and D of these ordinances. The 8 and 9s alone, I mean, it's like a 10, 11, $12 million number. It's sizable. And the revenue ones are sizable too. As you can imagine, that was the height of the market. These are the last ones that are super attractive. As you can imagine, as we all know, we lived that life then. But I did not bring that folder, so I apologize. But I'd be happy to send an email
can you
tomorrow.
just email us?
Absolutely,
Yeah, that's
with those
just-
amounts. Absolutely.
And for those refinance ones, those will be the same term? We're not going to lengthen the term, is that correct?
That is my understanding.
I believe so. I think it's
Yes.
only the new money that's going to be, obviously going out longer because it's new.
Right.
Yes. There are no TIF components in these bonds either. That's
No.
something interesting. Every refinance we've done since I've been at the city has had a TIF component. This is the first time. The 08s were just for infrastructure, and the 09s were a conglomerate of some other debt in the past. So there are no TIF components, which is an interesting situation. The 11s don't have any either.
Good. Can you clarify that, just to state
Yes.
that it's the same amortization period, not?
Yes, I'll include that in the email.
Thank you. And you talked about in the memo how the police and fire, other portions of the administration are having input on what should go into this as capital projects. I think it's important that the city council have input in that as well. So I don't know
Yes.
what the proper avenue is, but I think that's important for all of us city council members to think as well and present those needs. We all have needs in our wards and different, in the city in general. So I think that's important as well.
And Chairman, that is exactly our intent. We're going to meld those lists together and give you the list, give the city council the list so you can take a look at what the engineer and the administration has, and the departments have on the book, so you can weigh in on this.
Great, thank
Yes.
you. Any other questions by members of the committee or anyone else? Chris?
Mike's right. On the insurance, does the deductibles change at all? Have they been increased, or are they the same?
Same.
Same deductibles, okay.
Same deductibles.
Okay. Thank you. And then, on the bonds that would be forthcoming to us, you'd mentioned before about there'd be some type of insurance that would help us do. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, that's a very good point. I did mention it, I think, last budget meeting, but that's a very good point. So there's 2 ways to get ratings. You can go through the S&P or Moody's, who you have to give a presentation to, and then they rate you. Again, ratings are difficult when you have a lot of debt and pension funds, and some municipalities. All right.
Go ahead.
And some municipalities get lowered because of that. There's the alternative to that is it's called buying insurance. And when you buy insurance on your bonds, you also go to a rating agency. There's 2 or 3 different companies who sell insurance. They rate you much the same as you would go to S&P or to Moody's. But their rating, if they take you and you have to pay insurance, their rating is AA, guaranteed, which of course makes your bonds that much more desirable to be sold, and it drives the interest rates down. So the bond team has not yet decided that that's what they want to do, but that's where they're leaning. That we've gotten some desirable results, and I think Elizabeth's told me that the city has done that before in older bonds, that they have actually purchased what's called insurance. And the number on the insurance is somewhere in the $20,000 to $25,000 number, but it's so well worth it if you can get that AA rating.
And that 25,000 is just part of the fees that we pay?
Part of the cost, one time. That's it. That's it.
It's just a flat fee that's not based on the amount you borrow?
No, it's a flat fee. No. And again, Elizabeth, I think you told me that the city has done that before.
Yes, the city has certainly done it before. I feel we did it with one of the bonds that we've refunded since I've been at the city, but I'd have to go back and look at that. I know that many of the older issues, when we were going through all that in the 2000s and such, many of those had insurance to up the rating. At that point in time, the name of the company escapes me, but they tended to even use the same company when they did it.
The challenge to all municipalities, almost all municipalities, is the obligation to the pension funds. And because being so underfunded, not just us, across the board, that is what the Standard & Poor's and Moody's are using to drive down our ratings for municipalities. So this is a really good alternative. Now, the companies that sell the insurance, they don't have to rate us, they don't have to take us. Then we have to go back to S&P and to Moody's and hopefully make a good enough presentation there in light of the problems with our pensions. Is that good, Alderman? Okay.
Do we expect, I think you said first council meeting, you're hoping to have some numbers and figures. Is that when we'll understand, we think, more of how we'll go about it?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, at the next meeting, yes. And again, I spoke to Chairman O'Brien, well, I'm sorry.
Sorry. We will have Bob Vail from Bernardi is going to come back to the Budget Committee on the 13th and do his full presentation, so all details, questions, everything's going to get vetted. You're going to get those portfolios again like you've had in the past. I know everyone was very pleased with that when we did that the last time, so we just went that same route this time. We just wanted to lay the groundwork so that everyone was thinking about it, and if they had any questions they wanted to prepare prior to the 13th, they would certainly be able to. But Bob is on track to be there in person both on the 13th and at the 20th when we plan to take the bond ordinances to the full city council.
And as I spoke to, I'm sorry, Alderman?
Once again, that's a one-time payment of 20 to 25,000. That's not an annual expense, a one-time payment.
One-time payment. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. In talking to Chairman O'Brien today, I told him, you know, we've had a couple calls now with the bond team. As we get closer, right after the July 4th holiday into next week, when we do these calls, I asked if he would be gracious enough to join the calls, and we'll include, of course, the mayor and our bond team, just so that the chairman of budget and the mayor are fully aware of every step we go. Now, there's some minutia in that, but you'll just have to live through you're a banker, so you know what the minutia is. So yeah, well, just have to live through it. But I have found in doing these deals in other municipalities, it's very impressive to have the mayor and the chairman of budget on the committee. It shows everybody that the city's concerned and aware, and no one's trying to push anything off on anybody else. All the facts and figures are clear. So having two of the electeds on the call that we make is very important.
Okay.
May I say something else? Okay, thank you. I can't see you all the way down there. The other situation too with, I just wrote this down. Just lost my train of thought. I did this with James earlier today too. Too much on my mind. I'll come back to it a bit. I'm sorry.
Bert, I do have one more question on the insurance piece.
Yes.
Is that a change that we would sign a contract with Mesereau that the council would approve, or is that something that we just make the switch?
No, if this was going to cost us money, we'd come to you. But this is going the other way. There's no contract to sign. They were again. I've done this type of work with many different brokers, but Mesereau had so much experience here in Kankakee County. They knew the county, obviously, and they did such a good job at the county level. Oh, I'm sorry, they did school district. They did the school district and saved them a ton of money. So it was kind of a natural and easy to do. And we were kind of caught off guard. I want to tell you, the premium came due May 1st, and we got the invoice May 2nd saying you owe us the money without any presentation, without any going out to market, without any. So we got caught a little flat-footed. All of us did. So that's when we got on the phone, and I found out about Kankakee County doing what they had done, and we brought Mesro in, and they were good enough to put on a presentation for the mayor and Elizabeth and James and myself, and then crunch more numbers, and the rest is on paper.
I remember what I was going to say. Back to the bonds. We're still working with Chapman and Cutler with those bond ordinances. They have worked on, I think, almost every single issue in, oh goodness, years and years and years. And then also with Bob Vale from Bernardi, he has been a player here, helping us, a good consultant helping us go through this motion. So really the new people are not new. It'd be our attorney and some of the other disclosure council and things of that sort. They've done it for many, many years in other municipalities. They're just new to us. So we've got a lot of seasoned professionals helping us through what is actually turned out to be a very complex bond refundings. To have 4, all going to be dated 2020 is a lot, but the savings is so substantial because those interest rates in that era were so high compared to where we are today. So very worthwhile.
One other comment as a follow-up to what Elizabeth said as far as the bond team. We do have disclosure counsel, which is Vince Kankar, but we've eliminated a financial consultant, which the city has had in the past. I think they may have been Spear. So we've taken a layer of costs, and you'll hear that from Bob Vale, of cost out because you have such professionals in Chapman and in Vale and actually myself who've been doing this a long time, and Vince. So we're going to be able to save a lot of money in costs of the reissuing and the new money. And may I just say this, Chairman, if the aldermen have any projects that maybe that you don't know what the list is we've put together, but that you have for your wards or your thoughts, please direct those into Elizabeth, and we'll take a look at that too.
Absolutely. And at this point, the list actually resides on my desk. I haven't even typed it up yet to give the mayor a copy or anyone a copy. As you can imagine, you won't be surprised by many of the items on there. We have to make all of our commitments good with the Ricky Rockets project. We have some grant, portions, our portion that we have to do. A lot of those are on there. We have to pay ourselves back for the ambulance. We have to talk about squads for the next 3 years or so. That's about the scope, is we're going out about 3 years. So that's what Chief and I met about. A few other police concerns. Chief Schultz and I, he's given me a list. There are some great needs in the fire department. We know this. Those are the items that you will see on there, and then also the, different amounts, per ward that we've allocated. So I really don't believe anything's going to come to a surprise to you, but I will be typing that list up. I obviously have to get through tonight for this third draft, and also get through vehicle stickers next Monday at our alternate location. Once we get through that, I'll get this list typed up and then certainly share that so that you guys can maybe have some insight prior then to the 13th when we present the list. So that would be absolutely fine if that works for everyone.
We've used Elizabeth to channel information too. She gives it to the mayor and to myself. So everything doesn't come to me or doesn't come to the mayor. We're using the money person to distribute it to the mayor and I, and then we talk.
Right. Well, and a lot of the numbers too come from Neil as the engineer because of ongoing projects that we've already committed to, that we know that those are upcoming, and the commitments we have to those projects. So everything's on a big list, and those priorities will be made from there.
Just one other thing, Chairman, it's not on the agenda, but just actually I got the call coming in. The Ricky Rockets project, I think I talked about it last time, that they've expanded the scope of the project from 8,000 square feet to 20,000, with potentially 3 restaurants there. And they are communicating with their engineer and our engineer, talk on a daily basis and getting the plans together to make it a reality. So they're moving.
Great.
Yep.
Any other questions about the update from Bert on the refinancing and new capital and insurance? No? Okay. Thank you, Bert.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. All right. Our next item is old business, which is reviewing the next draft, the third draft of the proposed budget for next year. Elizabeth handed everyone our worksheet here with some updates. Elizabeth, can you walk us through this?
Absolutely.
Please.
Thank you, Chairman. Not a lot of changes, but I'm feeling better. You'll see when we flip the page, we are not there yet. I am still waiting with great anticipation for those July sales tax numbers. I won't have those until right before we meet, so it'll be a last-minute change for sure, but hopefully we get some type of insight from those sales tax numbers. But I think we'll just kind of walk line by line, if that's okay with everyone here. The one area I was able to spend some significant time, and I wanted to make sure that you all know that a lot of the recommendations came out in the magazine, of course, is when they put in their articles and said, we're looking at, 25% reduction on this line item, we're looking at 10.2. So I finally had, well, I'll call like a resource, to go off of imprint from the IML stating that, these are the amounts that we're looking at. Obviously, a lot of other funds were mentioned too. MFT is in here, of course. We don't put that in the general fund. That's a separate fund, so we will look at that as well. But as far as the general fund budget, I'm going off of the IML's recommendation that they put in their publication. The first line here says decrease to personal property replacement tax. That is not new. Last time we had that on there. As you might recall, though, it said 30% IML because that was an IML recommendation. And if you read the magazine, there's lots of reasons why that's getting shifted around that they talked about. But this time now, in the publication, they said 25%. So when I took a look at that, last time that number there, if you recall, in the second draft was $150,000. So you're like, well, Elizabeth, 5% can't be $70,000. You are correct. The situation with that is that when I looked at what we actually brought in, bringing back that April accrual to get a full 12-month picture, we would have been at $757,769, okay? So if I take, that's actual numbers, that's what we received last year. If you take 25% of it, that's $189,442, leaving $568,327. We only budgeted last year $650,000 for personal property replacement tax. So I have to come down only then to 568 because that reduction that the IML is offering is based off of what you received last year. So I have to go off of actual to get the 25% off, and then I apply it to the budget. So that number comes out to be $81,673. I think it's the only time you see me be generous in the budget. I actually just took it to 80 for a nice round number, which would actually be not conservative by $1,000. I'm willing to take that gamble. But that's how I got to that 80,000. So we need to come from 650 in the budget last year. We need to get down $80,000 to get to that 570-ish number to be in the range that the state and that the IML is saying that we need to be in. Does that make sense to everyone? So it's because we had such a great year last year that I can apply the 25% reduction from the great year and take that and then apply it to a very conservative budget, which is helping us out tremendously now, and gave us an additional $70,000 there. Still being, very mindful of the 25% reduction. Any questions? No? Okay. The sales tax numbers, that's 2, 3, 4, and 5, are identically the same as you've seen proposed before. I haven't touched those at all. I'm not going to until I get that July sales tax number. So those are identical right now. I am, of course, very hopeful that those are not drastically like I have them predicted. Of course, the trend data I don't see changing because that was based off of trend data. I am hopeful that perhaps with the COVID changes, we might be able to be I'm hopeful that those will actually not be that drastic, but of course I will not know that till I see those numbers. Number 6, increase the local use tax. Last time this said that same line, it said flat per IML, but this is kind of the same situation. So last time I had that number at 100,000 because we know that the use tax with the changes in the legislation, we know that those have been a lot more, that we have a lot more dollars flowing in that way. We ended at the actual number we ended with last year was $950,000, and now originally and in the publication, the IML is very adamant that that will remain flat. If you go and read that for yourself, you will see there's a variety of reasons for that too. A lot of it has to do with just increased sales to do with the sources that are affected by use tax. So they said keep it flat. We ended at 950. Keeping it flat is an additional 150 compared to budget instead of just 100 as it was the last time. Correct. So it's at 150 now. So that's an increase of $50,000 on that line. Any questions with number 6? Okay. Number 7 says increase to income tax revenue. We've had lots of discussions on this one. How is COVID going to affect that? IML has come out in their publication. They said plan on a 10.2% reduction. That's the number that they have given us to use as your guide. All of these, by the way, in IML's publication say as more information becomes available, be prepared for a change here. But they're tending in the publication to act like these are conservative estimates, and that if they come back and possibly make a change, it could help the municipalities, but regardless, we're going with their take right now. So 10.2, this is kind of the same situation. So last year, our actual number was $3,262,208. If you take 10.2% away from that, that's $332,745. Takes you down to 2.9, it's actually 29,463, so 2.9 million. We only budgeted 2.75 million, so that actually leaves us with an additional, even with the 10.2% reduction, that actually leaves us with $179,463. On this one that I'm showing to you all tonight, it's only 175. That makes up for where I rounded to our benefit on the personal property replacement tax. As the numbers tell us 179, and I put in 175. Any questions with income tax? Okay, moving along. Number 20. This one I've gone back and forth with. I certainly know that Mayor sent me a memo from the state regarding July 1st for gambling. I certainly saw it in the news, as many of you did. I'm not 100% sure what that means as far as budget goes, just because machines are getting kicked on. So what we did this time, and we're going to see, hopefully we'll have a little bit of a feel for it come July 13th. Hopefully some of you with some of your contacts would be able to tell me, because we all know the bar owners have a real good grasp on this. They know when their machines are getting played. They have they just know, because that's their business, right? So hopefully we'll have 2 weeks worth of data when we meet again. But obviously there's 2 full months we know we're not getting. That would be May and June, of course. And then basically, I'm on this estimate, I've reduced this thinking that some people are going to greatly want to get back to their old ways and old routines, and that I'm only taking 2.5 months away from gambling. That is with the average of $37,000 per month. We all know in this room that we have had some months that are much more than that. We actually it's been a while since we've seen lower than 37,000. Not a while, but 6 months for sure prior. So that's that. So if we have a month that's 40 down the road apiece, I do not think that month will probably be July. I could be wrong. But if it is, that's great for everyone. Hard to say, though, with this line item. This one's the one I struggle with. So, Alderman?
Didn't they turn the machines off in March? Wasn't it like?
Yes, but that's last fiscal year's problem, unfortunately. Yeah, we certainly were affected, but I'm looking May only forward since it's this fiscal year's budget. But yeah, of course, you're correct. Yeah. So any other thoughts on this gambling tax? I kind of went like this. I'm not going to fib. It's not very professional, but we just don't know. I'm hoping that those first 2 weeks tell us where they're at with it. And I'm hoping, because we're averaging at $37,000, that I've already kind of taken it down a little bit, that when we have those $40,000 months, it might make up for any gap that we have in the month of July. I believe that gap will be July, and we don't know. We don't know with COVID.
Elizabeth, was there any IML guidance on that?
No,
or no?
none whatsoever.
They just said they would turn them back on July 1st.
Yeah. I keep kind of hoping. I do have another call scheduled, so I am hoping that perhaps the municipality has some insight that they'll share. That's how we're kind of all trying to help each other out as financial professionals right now. But this is the one. I feel really good about the other ones I presented on tonight. I have solid facts. I have data to support it. This one, I'm doing the best I can with the data that's been given. Any other comments on number 20? Okay. The next one is number 25. Oh, let me mention 22. We are still waiting to find out about the Cresco situation. So when we have more data, we will give you all any data. But right now, I have no additional news as far as Cresco goes. As of right now with property taxes, I'm kind of just waiting. I'm going to have a phone call with Nick Africano to find out how those have been turned in. I'm really still, common sense tells me that anyone who escrowed would have done so through December. COVID had not hit yet. We're not seeing any red lights coming up from the county yet as far as property taxes go. We do know that our demographics prove that we have a lot of renters. That's something that the mayor mentioned to me today, which is something that is certainly true. Landlords are very, I don't believe, likely to let go of properties. I mean, those are their assets. That's part of their portfolio. So right now, we're just going to hold steady on property taxes. By July 13th, I'm hoping, obviously, the collection time will have been done by then. And their analysis will be done, obviously. We're past that. But their analysis will be done, and they'll be getting ready to make those distributions, first distributions out to the municipalities. So I'm hoping that I have some data for you all. Right now, I have nothing, so you see nothing. And then number 25, increase to other revenues for the civic contribution for energy for 7 months. That is, and I don't know, Mayor, you want to speak about this? That'd be great. Thanks.
Okay, so of course, we've been trying to be as creative as possible to find revenue for the city. It was time for us to look at our aggregation program where we aggregate our electricity for the municipality. And so we are looking at a match program where all of our residents will continue, of course, to get their bill from ComEd. We selected MC Squared as the supplier. That will feature a 25% green energy component, which means that 25% of our energy is guaranteed to come from a renewable source, either solar, wind, or hydroelectric. Also, with this particular package, we will receive an annual civic payment of $212,500 a year, and that's over the next 24 months, and that equates to about $17,000.
Yeah, it's actually annually.
Did I say 212?
Yeah,
Annually.
Annually. Yeah.
Yes, annually, sorry. And that equates to about $17,000 or so per month. So that's the number that you see here on number 25, where Elizabeth has calculated the 7 months in for the civic contribution.
Yes, so that does not, the contribution does not begin until September. That does not get turned over until October. So the first $17,708 payment will be in October. That would leave 7 months this fiscal year. That number times 7 is the $123,956 that you see there. Alderman?
What was the name of that company again?
It's MC Squared. So the bill, Alderman Crawford, will still come from ComEd, but the electric supplier is MC Squared.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You're
we
welcome.
still worked with NIMEC. I don't know if Mayor mentioned that or not. I was making a
Yeah.
note over here.
I have to look and see.
Yeah, who we've worked with for years, the whole time I've been at the city. And I think Pete brought them on, Pete and former mayor brought them on prior to that. I think it was a couple years before I started.
And NIMEC is, I'm looking at fine print here. Let's see. It's the Northern Illinois Municipal Electric Collaborative.
They've been a really nice partner with the city of Kankakee for many years. Alderman?
So is our I think, did we enter into a 3-year with Dynegy? So is that coming up, or are we getting out of it? Or it's coming expiring? It's expiring,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so this is just the new renewal.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Pete's oversaw that, has overseen that program the whole time it's in existence. So it's nice to have, and David Hoover is the gentleman from NIMEC that we've worked with for years. Okay. Any other questions on revenue additions and reductions? We'll move along here.
So that was a good string.
Yeah. So it's helping. These numbers are all helping. Let's go into reductions now at the bottom of the page. Number 1 says decrease liability insurance. This is in reference to what Bert just mentioned in his memo with the change that's going to happen. I was asked to put that number in here. I did put the number in. We've been talking annually. That number is an annual number. We will not receive a full annual this year, so I will have to make an adjustment to that. I caught that on my way over. I thought of it, but it was too late. The documents had been printed, so I will make an adjustment to that, but it is 106 annually, and I will make the adjustment for what is remaining with this fiscal year on your next, on the 4th draft, on the July the 13th, 4th, and hopefully what will be final. Number 2, decrease to general restructuring with staffing analysis. That was at 90, I believe, 3,000 before. We had to make a slight shift with the one employee to due to the tasks needed in that office. That employee is staying 1 month longer with us through the end of July, so I just had to reduce that savings by $3,000. So just wanted to give clarity as to why that was highlighted. Number 7, decrease the police department due to restructuring with a CSO. The goal is, I know Chief Cosman and I have spoken, the goal is that they're going to have a community service officer, obviously non-sworn in the department, taking care of multiple tasks. And I don't know, Chief, do you want to speak to that tonight? Just to give them a, for instance, because we've not talked about that yet, this group. Sorry, I didn't tell you were going to do this, I apologize.
No problem. The situation is that we have an administrative sergeant right now, so we have 12 sergeants. The council voted to reduce that number to 11 and make a civilian position, and that would be so what would be changing from having 12 sergeants to 11 with the being administrative sergeant's position that would be eliminated, which would be a civilian position then. And so the reason for that is that sergeants are starting to pay is around $90,000, and this would be probably between, $45,000, $50,000. So it's a savings of $40,000 at least. So that's the major thing.
Any questions on that one? We still got Chief at the mic. Okay. So that's on there. So that would then finish up the expense reductions. We've added obviously some there, which is a good thing. Moving along to the second page, you can see that the additional expenses, I've not done a lot of work here yet. We still have to do all the detailed salary analysis. And when I talk about detailed, I literally list out every single person across the city and every single department with every single rate of pay and make sure that where we've said additional contractual salary increases $250,000, I make sure that that is 250 or it's 231 or it's 256, whatever that number is. That number will be done by the 13th. That analysis takes a little bit of time. And in the course with our other analysis that's going on with Paycor and some other items in my department, we've not gotten that fully completed yet. The other numbers are still holding strong. We still may have to go back to police and fire chiefs in the back and talk about some of these increases that they had asked for their departments. We may have to kind of, work our pencils a little bit stronger there. But as of right now, I've left everything in with those increases. We've got some potential savings with workers' comp to offset that increase a wee bit, but we're not quite there yet. We've got to kind of work out some details, so that was nothing I wanted to bring here tonight yet, but that James has been working very hard on developing a program that runs alongside the basically reduction of claims, and he's working on that program right now. And if you follow the program protocol, there's a 10% savings that can be had. So that's what we're working on now, but that's not shown in these numbers tonight. Then obviously the additional cost for Paycor is in here too, which we talked about before. So bottom line, we're still with the home rule sales tax at that 1.1 million, still a big number, but we know with the sales tax that we have to pay it because it's pensions. So we would have conversations about that. We also could, if the choice is made, it's something that needs to be being thought of here in the next few weeks. That is a number that, of course, could go on the tax levy if we had to. I don't know if we have a lot of other options with that this year due to COVID and the reductions. We're hoping that we can just maybe put the trend data on there and not, I'm hoping those COVID numbers aren't drastic, but once again, it's a wait and see decision with that. But we do have options with the home rule pieces of that. That's why I have the two lines. Without the home rule, if we take that component out, we're at that $408,000 deficit. So it's closing. We're getting closer. Hopefully with some Cresco information too that I mentioned, we can make that gap a little bit smaller. And hopefully there's maybe 20 here, 20 there, those types of things. Perhaps that savings with workers' comp, and we'll start to eat that away and get closer. That's my hope right now. Do any of the aldermen or alderwomen have any other ideas, questions, savings you think I've overlooked? If you don't have it for tonight, if it pops into your mind, please reach out to me. I'm poring over these numbers a lot right now. So I'm happy to listen to any input from anyone regarding anything, or if you think I'm way off base with something, please let me know. There's lots going on right now. Did you have a question, Alderman?
Yeah. Under expense reductions, the decrease to tax legal matters, can you refresh my memory? What is that with the sales tax?
Yeah,
attorneys?
that was our attorneys with Eimer Stahl. Since we're done with that, the sales tax has been settled. So they now, if any questions come up because we have completely settled, they have to bill those clients, not us. Actually, we got a refund recently because there was one bill that we had to pay, and he called me immediately and said that that was a mistake. I'm so sorry. And I said, well, we paid it because I didn't want to not pay it. I thought we were done. It was a couple $1,000s. He said, no, you'll be receiving a refund. I said, thank you.
So that makes up the whole 75,000.
So the only other item that's in there is our lobbyist, which is 60. That's all we had in there, was 75 for the attorneys and 60 for the lobbyists. So now that line item it will be down to just 60. It was 135 last year. Alderman?
That was on number 9, increase vehicle sticker revenue, $50,000. How did you come up with that?
Yeah, so we're down. We only brought in about 450 last year, which would only be a $25,000 reduction to what we budgeted, I believe. I have that here. I'll look for it here in a moment. But I believe that's right, though. That's off the cuff. So I'm concerned that we're just not going to have as good of participation. Hopefully, then that would, not hopefully, unfortunately, that would mean that we would then have to be writing more tickets. So we should collect the sticker revenue, but we've just seen kind of a steady decrease to sticker revenue ever since our first year. It's just slight. We lose about $6,000 to $8,000 a year, but now, starting up, we were up here, now all of a sudden, we're down to, brought in $448, I want to tell you, last year, and that was with tickets, with the $70 per car. So we're just seeing lack of compliance a little bit is definitely the word for that. Police has been, great. It's no knock. We've had lots and lots of tickets. That's not the thing. They're working it. We're just not seeing compliance. I think we've seen people make changes to their behaviors too. So that maybe compliance isn't as possible. Alderman?
When it comes to the sticker revenue and the stickers, are we going to be sending out the notices like we have in the past to the residents?
I'm going to talk about that in my updates. I have a lot to share on that.
Okay,
so,
thank you.
Thank you, though, for reminding me, because I did forget to put that on the agenda, but I definitely want to make the announcement. Anything else?
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. Thanks, everyone, for your questions and input. We'll keep at it. We don't have any new business. The comptroller updates, Elizabeth, you've got a few things for
Yeah,
us?
absolutely. Thank you, Chairman. The audit, we have made really good progress. The holiday has backed us up a little bit. Our auditor, the partner, has some auditors on some days off this week, as you can imagine, with the holiday. So we should have that by, I'm hoping to have some numbers for sure by the middle of next week and a draft by the 13th. I'm hoping to bring you all a draft at that next meeting. Obviously, our part's done at this point. I think he might be they're waiting on one question from me, I think, and maybe one question from Bert, but we are pretty much wrapped up. We're not hearing from them, and usually when we stop hearing from the auditors, that means that they're working those final pages and such, so that's a great thing. So that is the audit update then. I don't know, with everything we got going on in that 20th meeting, I don't know if we'll do the presentation that night or not, but you will definitely have something in your hands to look at and review. But we will definitely be wrapping up that presentation, at the latest in August, for sure. So any other questions with the audit? Also, just for anyone who's curious, we are sending fiscal 20 documents to them. They're already got a team working on the new audit so that we can stay on task with that. We are sending information out right now. We've got the bank confirms out. We've got Bob Reitz from Lauterbach and Amon, who you've met before. He's getting documents as we speak. So we're rolling really well with that. Plus on the OPEB side with Lauterbach and Amon, it's just it's not a full valuation year, it's just a partial update year. That saves a lot of time. So we've got a lot in our favor this year to keep that ball moving. So I'm really, really pleased to report that tonight. Vehicle stickers, because I know Alderman Crawford has to get going to another meeting. But for vehicle stickers, this has been a massive undertaking. It's one that I would do again because it's very important to me that we keep everybody safe, not only our employees, but our residents. I don't want to put anyone in harm's way with a virus that I can't control, so I would do it again. Midland continues to be a good partner with us. They have been working lots of emails with me, with our IT staff, and letting us generously use that building for the drive-through for our operation. We will be opening at 8 o'clock on July the 6th. Notices will be mailed out late this week. They will have the notices. I'm assuming they'll start getting delivered. With the holiday, they may not get them in their boxes till Monday, but that's fine. That's the day we open, so they can come at that point in time. Kudos to our IT team, who is just figuring out all kinds of situations to get this working over there. We've got 3 returning staff members, 2 new staff members. Of course, we've got our staff is identically the same. Maureen's got boxes of supplies ready to go. We all met over there as a team. We are trying signage. You won't believe the signs that you're going to see. Good thing that that parkway is the city, so I don't have to ask for permission because we're going to have lots of signs. The Bourbonnais Township Park District has been generous in donating their signcades to us. We just have to buy the signs. We are able to use 2 local vendors to be able to get the signs on the signcades that are going to be around, both English and Spanish, and then we'll also have the traffic flow. We met with DPW, we met with the police department. I know there's going to be something that we have forgotten, but we have really been working our tails off to make this as easy as possible, safe as possible, and just as smooth as possible. I don't know. I've never done this at an alternate location, so I don't know what's going to happen. That's the scary part, for sure. But I know that I'm going to be keeping people safe. So we will work through it and gently remind folks if they're not happy with us, you know, it's going to be a little slower. You know, when you go to the bank drive-through, that's a little bit slower than when you come up in person with your $35 and, you know, we get you in and out. We had some of those transactions down last year to less than 30 seconds. We won't be 30 seconds this year, I can promise you that. But I do have the full support of the police department. Chief Cosman and I met last week. He has given me, both he and the mayor have given their unwavering support that whatever I need with the police department, we can have. That might mean overtime, and that would be a COVID-related expenditure. So if we have to do that, so we will log those hours, of course. We will need some physical police, though, in the parking lot, directing traffic on for sure that first full week of the month and the last full week. Those are our busy times. Those middle 2 weeks, we're going to try, I'm trying, Chief, to go to as-needed basis. We'll see how that goes to see if the cars can kind of catch on. DPW has just been fabulous with their barricades, cones, set up, signs, right turn only out of the drive-through onto station, trying to keep all of Midland's concerns in place. Their ATM on that property will be completely separated. Will be no vehicle sticker traffic through their lane to get to that drive-through, to be cognizant of their needs of their customers. And then also we will do our best if traffic starts to back up. We are the police, and that's what I told Midland. Whatever we need to do, we will get the police on the phone and we will get them down there to help us out, direct traffic, do whatever we've got to do. It will be different, that's for sure. Indiana Avenue location will have signs like you cannot believe to tell people to don't come to this building, go down the street, enter from Dearborn. All of that's hopefully going to be as clear as possible. Wish me luck. Yeah, and we've got signcades too that'll say it's obviously cash, credit, and debit like it's been in past years, no checks. That's not changing this year. Alderman?
Should the residents wait till they get their mailing before they come in?
That's preferred.
Okay.
That's preferred for sure. It just helps us go faster. We'll be able to print if technology goes through the way it should this week, we should be able to print them just like we're on site at 304 South Indiana. But right now we're a week out and we've got some work to do for sure with technology. Alderman Cobbs?
And that's 310 South Schuyler, isn't it?
I'm sorry?
The address for that is 310 South Schuyler.
You got it, Alderman. That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been saying too to you know, it is certainly Midland's building,
Yeah.
but that is not their current place of operation, of course. And they have brought concerns. Their managers have brought concerns to me that they are concerned people are going to get in our line, wait 10 minutes, only to find out they can't cash their payroll check there. And that's a valid concern. So hopefully with the signage, hopefully, you know, when they start, especially, there's going to be signs that they have to look at, kind of like Disney World, where you have to look at them as you're going along. They may not read them, but boy, you will have missed multiple signs if you pull into that parking lot and think you're going to cash your payroll check.
And we can anticipate a press release as well.
Yes, we have another one coming.
It's already put
I
out.
think we put 2 out already.
Yeah, we've had 2 out. We'll have 1 out on the 6th and 1 out again the middle of the month as a gentle reminder, and then that last week. And anything else that comes up, things that we may not have thought of may still come up, and we'll address those through the press release. Thank you, Alderman. Did somebody else have a hand up over here? No? Making that up? Anything else with vehicle stickers that's not clear in your mind? $35 a car, that hasn't changed as per ordinance. The 31st happens to be a Friday, so, we will do our best to accommodate all folks in line that day, as we always have. We've always done that. We'll come back on that August day, and what day is that on Monday? August the 2nd, 3rd? I don't know. 3rd probably. And they will be $70 that day. We'll be open at that location for 2 more weeks then at that time. And be ready to hear different items. We have plans A, B, C, D, and E, I think. I don't know with the flow. I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know what we're going to have to use. But we have other plans in place. So we will see. Nothing to announce at this time, but just other plans to make sure we get this done well, as we always have done. So, Mayor, do you want to speak to the opening of buildings? I know that was a question I got earlier, that at least plexiglass is going up, and I think it was in your updates, but.
Yeah, I did put it in the updates. So the meetings, of course, we're meeting together. We're all back together as a family again. I'm planning to open, I wanted to get the building open actually this week, but something just told me to hold off, and the plexiglass didn't get installed. I think they finished today. We have a couple of adjustments that need to be made in the offices, and then some like decorative things that need to be done, but it's pretty much installed. So we'll be open for sure back to the public next week, and we'll get a press release and social media out on that as well.
And that's why the signage that you end up seeing at 304 South Indiana, you might think I've lost my mind when you see it. You might absolutely think that. But we know that we are going to be open to the public for their normal business now. And just to try to keep those people, safe and not in our building if they don't need to be. If they're there for a vehicle sticker, they need to know very clearly to come to 310 South Schuyler for that business. If they're there for any other business, garage sale permits, business licenses, tickets, of course, we'll be open to service all of that. And the ESU staff has done a dynamite job with the plexiglass. Like Mayor said, a few adjustments need to be made, but I think when you all see it, you'll be very pleased with how it looks. It looks very nice.
And we will ask people to wear a mask in the building, just to keep everybody safe.
I think that's all my updates.
Great, thank you. Good luck with the vehicle sticker sales.
Thank you.
I'll pull in for you.
I appreciate it. Any extra, prayers or good wishes are welcome.
Take them.
I would just like to say, Alderman O'Brien, thank you for agreeing. I asked Bert if you could participate on the call for the bonds.
Oh, sure.
I thought it was important for you to be on that call, so thank you for that. And the other thing, if you all can just educate your constituents in your wards as much as possible. We've never lived through a pandemic before, so all of this is new. There are going to be things that come up that we don't anticipate, or but we're trying to do everything we can to just make sure everybody is safe. And this is going to be a process, and we do need people to be patient in the drive-through. So if you all can just educate as much as you can with your constituents in the wards, that'd be helpful. And then the other thing I did want to mention, we do have some dollars I've mentioned before for FEMA to be reimbursed for all of our COVID-19 expenses. So we are keeping track the amount of rent that we've had to pay for this site to do vehicle stickers, different things that we've had to, the plexiglass, the supply, additional gloves, cleanser, those types of things. We are keeping a running list of those items so that we can be reimbursed for those expenses related to COVID-19.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Alderman questions and concerns. You want to have questions or comments they'd like to share?
Was vehicle stickers the only thing, I know you had mentioned, the only thing that you're going to be selling out of that building?
Yes.
Okay.
Motorcycle tags and vehicle stickers.
Anyone else have questions? No? We have no need for an executive session. Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion by Larry, or second by Mike. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign?
I'm not part of the budget.
Oh, okay. Who's on? Stacy, did you second? Okay. Carl's on, buddy. All right. The motion is second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.